So hi everybody, today we're going to do a bit of a soft skill. So we're going to see some tips and tricks how that will help you contribute to repositories that are part of our PnP community. And this was a perfect for so short session if you are starting, you're thinking about your first contribution, but also if you are advanced and already did some, but you're thinking about other repositories, as we noticed. Even folks that are advanced and used to using GitHub tend to do some small mistakes, and we also do them. So everybody does them. So just a short review. And here, the slides start moving. We're gonna see some tips and tricks on each stage, from prepping your, let's say, local environment to do a contribution, to contributing, to opening PR, and what then you can do as a follow-up, because the contribution doesn't you need to end at the PR level and the PR is accepted and merged. You can do even more, be recognized, and do a follow-up activities, which I'll also mention. Okay, so usually I pass the slides saying that I'm just a dev, and this is true. But just to point out that, so I'm a maintainer of the CLI for Microsoft 365, SPFX Toolkit, a couple of those repositories. So I'm on this side of taking on the contributions and reviewing, but also I'm an active contributor in many open source repositories. I'm on both sides and making the mistakes on both sides. so it's not all, it's not the things I will be talking today are from experience. Just wanted to highlight this. Okay, so at the very beginning, it's always about prepping. Let's say we are happy with the things we did. We want to contribute back to the community to share our love, knowledge, and whatever. But how do we do about it? So our community is basically based on GitHub. Probably most of you already know that. If you are new to GitHub, this is the place where you will be looking for our community resources, all samples, tooling, solutions, everything. And basically, this is how the page looks like. If you go to the GitHub/PnP, you'll land on this page. Please do follow. Please do check our members if you want to reach out for additional support. All of our PnP core team members will for sure help you out. And you can find the repositories here. We are openly public, so most of our repositories are public, so we share everything, but not every repository is open for contribution. So either you can check the repository here in the repositories tab, or better in the separate product, let's say, tooling or solution page. So every bigger PnP initiative has its own dedicated docs page, let's say. So here is CLI, PnP script samples, PnP.js list formatting, and it could go on and on and on. And all of those sample pages, solution pages, whatever, have their own link to the specific GitHub repository that is for sure open for contributions if you want to help us out. So this is the easiest way to reach out and find us in the correct place. And then you need a fork. So basically not the fork one to eat, but this kind of fork. So what it basically means, let's say I'm on the PnP.js page. I use it regularly. I used it in my SPFX solutions, and I want to contribute back. I want to help out. So the best way to start with the docs, and then go from here, transfer to the GitHub page, and then do a fork directly. So you land on the PnP organization PnP.js, and then start with your own fork, creating this repository is like a local, let's say, copy on your account. And depending, it's also good to check the guide first, because it's not always recommended to copy every branch. Maybe sometimes only the default branch of this repository is required, but sometimes it isn't. So it's best to go, look first at the contribution guide. We're going to do a second slide on this one, but basically check if you need only, for example, in the main branch. Sometimes it's required to take the main and the dev. Each repository has its own, let's say, rules, and then create a fork, and it will create so let's say a copy of this state of this repository on your account, and you can see that it's forked from this repo. What does it actually mean, this fork? So really easy. Now there are two instances of the same repository from that point of time. The one is on the PnP org, and the other is on your account org. This means that you can play around with this repository, not being afraid that you will break anything, as long as you commit everything to your instance of PnP.js or repository that you're forked. So you can hack around and play around and improve it, and it's your own to build, share, and play. But what if you want to contribute back? So that's where the contribution comes in. First, read the manual. Yeah, I know probably everybody knows about it. Maybe some of you forget about it. I always forget about it. I think I'm advanced. Yeah, I don't need to read the manual. Well, it can kick you at the back of your head. and you can make mistakes that then require a lot of work to get your contributions back on track. So first and foremost, before you even start contributing, creating your own branch and start adding your own code, first go to the contributing guide. And many repositories do it differently. In PnP organization, we do it in two ways. So first, you can find the contribution guide on the product websites. For example, the CLI for Microsoft 365 or SPFX Toolkit or PnP.js, they have a docs web page, which I've shown previously, and there you will see, you can find the contribution section. Or some repositories don't have a, let's say, docs page, but are really active. Usually there are sample repositories like the Power Platform samples or SPFX web parts and extension has a web page, but mostly it's just samples that are then leveraged and the Microsoft adoption page. Then you have to go directly to the repo and check for the contributing and markdown file in the default branch of this repository. So for example, here, this is a website from the PnP Core SDK. So this is a .NET library which allows you to enhance your .NET applications to communicate with Microsoft 365 Cloud. And here you see a contribution guide, and it's usually very detailed. So it's really important for us maintainers that you have a safe and easy start. So usually those contributions guides are really detailed, providing you step-by-step guidance, how to set up your environment, how to build locally, what do you need to know before you open your first PR, which branch needs this PR should target, and so on and so forth. So you can see there are many links here to basically start off, and I really advise you to read it everything before you write your first line of code to contribute back. As you can see, it's many tooling PnP docs have that. So for example, the PnP script samples have it. It then has a sample for your sample, so you can start with like a template, and lots of work is already done for you. The PnP.js, the CLI, and many others that wouldn't fit this slide. So yeah, but as I mentioned before, some don't have a docs page. Then you need to look, for example, in the default branch. So the default branch is the branch that is usually open when you just enter the repository. Usually it's main. And then you need to find the contributing MDs on the markdown file, and then you will see find all the description that is helpful here. For example, many sample repositories in our PnP org has it, and there you can find guidance how to what are the ways you can contribute, because contributing is not always coding. It's providing feedback, it's opening issues, reporting bugs, but also some standards. So if you want to contribute a new sample, what should be the folder structure, naming, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's move on. Then we need to contribute. We can, let's say, split our repositories in the PnP org into repository types. One is tooling. So for example, CLI for Microsoft 365 or PnP PowerShell or PnP Core SDK. These are tools, or PnP model search. And then the biggest and the most important rule, I think, for every maintainer is to always start with an issue. So don't like surprise us with a PR without discussing what you are planning to do. Or even if you see an issue that you are you want to do, first get assigned to it. So this is a thing we notice some people just are too excited to help us, and we really appreciate it. But we are when we are surprised, it's hard for us maintainers to plan work when something will be merged. So before you see something you want to contribute, so for example, this kind of issue, please let us know that, hey, I want to work at it. I want to give it a try. Don't worry if you get assigned and after a couple of days, something will change in your life, and you cannot commit to it. Just let the maintainers know, and you'll get unassigned, and this issue will be opened back to the community. No harm done. Everything is fine. We are all human, and everything is understandable. After you get assigned, usually the label change from help wanted, so this is no longer an open issue, and this is your issue you can work on, and the work in progress state is added. So this is really important. So also that we plan that not only a single contributor will work on a single issue. So we just to try to fix this problem that two people were trying to fix the same thing. And then also it helps us plan, and we know that someone is working on something, and we can plan the future progress after something is committed. In sample repositories, it's a bit differently. So it depends here. In tooling, it's mostly 99% you start with an issue first before you open a PR. In sample repositories, not always. So if you want to create a new sample, then usually an issue is not required. You also check the contribution guide to double check it, but usually an issue is not required. You can just open a PR with a new sample of your Power Platform solution or script sample. But sometimes we have issues in sample repos that some sample requires updating or some clarification, or there maybe is a bug. And if you want to help out, then first the same kind of thing. First, check the opened issues. If you see some sample that is already not working, also open up your own issue, letting the maintainers know that, okay, something is not working in one of those samples to try to use. You can already get assigned to it and help us out. Then this doesn't change, create a feature branch. So if you have your local instance, your instance of the repository, and you probably have the main branch there, try not to contribute code directly to this main branch, but first create a feature branch, so something that is dedicated for an issue, and comment the code there. What does it mean? You can do it multiple ways, but basically you can do it from the web UI. So this is where I'm here on my instance of the PnP.js. You see I have the main, the GitHub pages, the version 4 branches here, and I want to create my own feature branch where I will be contributing code. So I can do it here directly, just new branch, and pick based on which branch I will start and just add a name. Or you can, when you, let's say, pull the repository locally on your machine, you can just do a checkout with -b. So if this kind of branch doesn't exist, the Git will already create it for you, and then commit your code on a specific feature branch, which is probably by name will be somehow similar to the issue you are fixing. And then open a PR. So when we are contributing to tooling, of course, hack the planet, help us save the planet, but usually it requires also testing. Remember that a good product requires also good testing. And in terms of samples, a good sample requires good description, README, screenshots, definitely. So don't forget that it's not only about coding. Okay, testing is also coding, we know, but now Copilot usually generated, but doesn't matter. But it's not only about coding, it's sometimes about coding and testing, and coding and good documentation and screenshots. And in terms of samples, it's really important to follow the standards. So double check the contribution guide to see the naming, the folder structure. So don't try to figure it out on your own. For sure, in the contribution guide, it is described how your new sample should be contributed and look like in the repo. And in terms of tooling, try to follow an approach that you are assigned to a single issue and you open one PR that resolves this one issue, not, let's say, one PR that resolves a couple of issues. And those are many points that I made wrongly. So this is all from my experience. And then contribute. Please be polite. So I was really thinking, should I show it? And then I decided that I will show some examples, but not in our PnP org, so I won't point out any person directly. These are the examples I'm showing are from Microsoft VS Code actually repo. I try to anonymize because it's not about a person but about the reaction. Those kind of things also happen in our PnP community repositories, unfortunately. So please just be polite when contributing or trying to help us out. We know that sometimes it's emotions going on and some stress from your work. But we are all people and doing it aside of work, so please do be aware. And our repositories, like here, this is a VS Code Microsoft, so this repo where we can contribute to VS Code, really well-known tool, where are also quite active. As you can see, so there are some issues that are just a waste of time, of maintainers' time, like this one. There are issues where there's like a bit of a really hard conversation where contributor is really, let's say, sure of that he is right, and it's not trying to, let's say, learn together and share the knowledge. Or there are just sometimes hate speech. So it does happen, and even if you are not one of those people, I hope so, please be aware that maintainers sometimes receive this kind of, let's say, hate. So always start with a positive feedback, because maintainers for sure will always start with positive feedback towards you. Okay, and then after you finish your code, there's the PR review process. You open a PR that contributing to the branch, which is for sure mentioned in the contribution guide. And there's for sure also in the contribution guide a guide how to go about submitting a pull request. So as I said, read the manual. This is also something I tend to forget. And usually there's a guidance how to go about opening a PR in a specific repo, and even sometimes there are guidance like in the CLI repo, what happens after you open a PR, how's the review process, what's the line, who's going to be reviewed next, what we are going to look at your review, so you can already double check on your own your PR in terms of what we are going to confirm. And be patient. Sometimes we have a lot of PRs to progress, and please be responsive, because not every PR is okay, we approve and merge. Sometimes we need to do some turnarounds and go back to you with some changes, and then you need to go back to us committing and fixing the things we pointed out. So it's very important that after you open the PR, you're not done yet until this PR gets merged. So please be responsive and try to check those GitHub notifications from time to time. And then don't be afraid to ask questions. So our maintainers don't bite. No, none of contributors bite, I hope. And basically, it's always okay if you don't understand the comment, you don't understand the feedback, you don't know how to do it, just ask questions. Don't try to figure it out with Copilot, because us are for sure better than Copilot. I hope so. Okay, and then after you get merged, whoa, you're done. Well, yes, but you can do some follow-up things. The first one is the recognition problem. So this is a program, not problem. The recognition program, this is something David always mentioned. So you can join, you need to opt in only one time, and then you can receive, usually every repository gives out some badges for your contribution. So it's really good to leverage them and show off your skills that you help to the community and what do you need, the skills you have. After you contribute, it doesn't matter if it's you contributed to a tool, and for example, you extended new feature in a SPFX toolkit, or you just added a sample in the sample gallery. You can most of the times share and demo what you did. So after you contributed, try to think that, okay, maybe the thing I created, I added to this product or to this repository, I can show it off. Because after you add something, we always try to promote it, of course, that new samples show up on each community calls or on socials. But if you do a specific demo about your sample, then it's going to get more recognition and more people will notice it for sure. So it's always good to do a follow-up demo about the thing you added to the community and share the knowledge and love. And if you're afraid, so we can request the demo here on our main page. Tell us about your demo, and then there's going to go through a short form how to go about it. And if you're afraid to do demos like me, I'm always terrified, we have a sharing is caring program, or a program. I don't know, I have a problem today, it seems. Anyway, there's a sharing and caring program that you can join, and there's a super team, like a super group of people like David or Hugo that you can buddy up with, and they will help you up with your demo to prep for it. You can validate your slides, or they can even be on the demo their own and do like an introduction of you. And if you contributed to CLI for Microsoft 365 or SPFX Toolkit or some repositories that I'm a maintainer of, you can for sure reach me out as well. And I already buddy up with a few people, and we share demos like this together to share the stress. Actually, it's so stressful for us. So it's stressful for everybody. Maybe not for like the pros, but that mentioned this. Okay, so this is the buddy program. I forgot there's the slide. And I guess I'm done. So I hope you enjoyed those few tips, and thank you. And you rock, because you helped the community rock to help us expand. Okay, thanks a lot, everybody. This is all I wanted to share today, and happy contributing.